Oh. Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. Woo! Today on episode 223, I was I was very lucky to have Takura Sibanda on the podcast. He is a fellow podcaster in arms, and he is the Prince of the North. Yeah, we talked about many things: how he got his podcast started, why he started his podcast, and yeah, his plans to eventually end up in Germany in the next year or so, and yeah, what he wants to do in the future. Got to say, he's a very interesting chap, and I think, yeah, he might be one of these people who might make a real difference in this world. So please sit back, enjoy the podcast, enjoy the show, and yeah, enjoy. Peace and love to you. Yeah. Oh, hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. Woo! Today on episode 223, I am very lucky, privileged to have Takura Sibanda. Yes. He is, what can I say? He is a former aerospace engineer, a graduate, project management as well. And yeah, even though he is in Zimbabwe, he is the Prince of the North. And he has a podcast, which is called Prince of the North. How are you today, sir? How are things going?
Thank you for that fantastic intro. I'm doing very, very well. Thank you very much, Miura. Thank you for having me on your platform today. I'm excited for the episode today. I can tell from your energy you have got, you've got the it factor. You've got the fire, the positive energy, and you know, let's make this a fantastic episode.
Like, why are you stopping? Keep going, keep going.
uh,
Yes. Like, yeah, my ego shows no bounds. Yeah. My lord. Now, this is the thing. Okay, look, my friend, you have a podcast called Prince of the North, and
yes.
you're in Zimbabwe. Look, any more south, you'll be like literally in Australia or the South Pole. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
yeah, how did you come about being the Prince of the North way down south?
So it actually started down here in Zimbabwe. I felt that I needed a brand and a message that represents what I believe in, my values, where I see myself, where I see myself going. So I actually established the brand POTN, which has a crown underneath. And I have my own website now, which I've built myself. But the whole essence of it, I wanted to create uh, a unique message and something for something I could believe in and use to motivate me to go forward,
Mm-hmm.
and as a symbol of hope for people who also believe in the same things I believe in. So my brand Potent actually has three meanings. So
Okay.
the first meaning is like Prince of the North. So I describe this as my position in life where I feel I'm at the position to be I'm on the journey to becoming a king in my life, but I feel I need to obviously educate myself, seek out mentorship, advice, learn from others who've come before me, really nurture that wisdom and create a culture of generational wealth that I could also then pass down. So then the next meaning is obviously my four core values, which stand for positivity, optimism, tenacity, and nobleness. So I believe people should have a positive outlook. Should always aim to be happy, because when you want to get things or overcome challenges, you can only do them like when you're in a positive state of mind, optimistic. You know, bad days are not there forever. Like how it is in the UK, for instance. Like the gray skies are out there like all the time. You know, or the weather, like the sun does come out.
Like, why are you hating on the UK, man? Look, we had blue skies today. Yeah, we had blue skies today. Come on.
Well, I say this because I lived in the UK for about 6 years myself, so I know what the weather was like, and I know that it's a phase, and obviously things change and things improve. There's ups and downs in life. Like I remember seeing a quote somewhere. I don't know who it was who said, but in life you need ups and downs. That's when you get a lot further in life than how, if things are just like steady and laminar and there's no like ups and downs and stuff. But to continue on, explaining what my brand means. So tenacity is hard work. Wake up, work hard, work your hardest, go to bed knowing that you've done your best for that day. And then nobleness stands for remaining humble, um, working hard, being positive, being optimistic, sharing positive things with the world, but also remaining grounded as well. And then obviously the last meaning of my brand potent is potency. So I want to be a positive influence on people and set an example that hopefully can inspire other people to, you know, um, become their own heroes per se. Really set an example for people in their community, their families, and then obviously that has a ripple effect and so on and so forth. So that's basically how I came about the podcast name Prince of the North, but also the brand name POTN, which I also call Potent as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
I see. I see. No, that's interesting because, like, this is the thing. Like, many of the aspects you've talked about are, yeah, it's about, like, yeah, staying positive, being
Mhm.
optimistic, tenacity, being noble, humble. I am surprised you did not put sort of gratitude, yeah, into the mix of that because, like, this is the thing. All of that, it's great, but yeah,
Mhm.
I often find when you like put gratitude or have gratitude for what the day offers or what the previous day or the future potentially offers, it really
Mhm.
sort of like can add to that sort of mix as well. W- May I ask, is gratitude in that in your philosophy, or is it a case of you? That's right. Oh, gratitude.
Oh well, I think like you mentioned a great thing there. Gratitude is something that I have and always like uh as part of the brand's values. I also use to obviously push myself forward because there's a great appreciation for being in the position I'm in right now.
Mm,
Being privileged enough to have gone to a foreign country to do my education, to meet the people I've met, to set up the podcast, to meet people like yourself. But also as well, like in terms of the branding, like when I came up with POTN, I kind of based it on POTN, and then I wasn't gonna put POTNG.
it's like, yeah, right, wait, it's like, wait, gratitude. It's like, I can't fit that in. It's
Yeah,
like, I can't fit that in. I have to do
yeah,
it this way. Okay, great.
yeah.
Yeah, because like this is the thing. Okay, yeah. All I've got to simply say, yes, being in like T side, like basically Tyneside,
Mhm.
all the way up in the north of the UK. Yeah, you do need a certain amount of positivity, optimism, tenacity. Yeah, because you're right on the east coast,
Yep.
northeast. Yes, all I can tell you about the northeast is like grey clouds, rain, wet. Yeah, very challenging area. I see that sitting here in London, where, hey, it's considerably drier than there.
Well, I mean, like London has got pretty much everything you can think of, anything you can dream of. I'm a big fan of London.
Hmm.
I also love the Northeast. Shout out to everyone in Teesside and Middlesbrough, in Stockton and Tees, everyone who I met and built relationships with, like who I like stay in contact with. There's a lot of great people up there. Uh, a lot of great people, I can tell you. And when you go up there, it's not as bad as people like. I don't know how people portray the north or the northeast. Like, I enjoyed my time up there. I learned a lot of valuable things. That's where I actually learned a lot of the critical skills I use right now.
Hmm.
Project management, organization, being able to communicate better, um, setting up my podcast as well as other things, helping people, just creating that philosophy of if I learn something, and if I meet somebody who could benefit from like what I have to share, like I'll share it in a such way. I won't be like, here, take this, you have to use this. Like I say it in a way like, oh, have you considered looking at this or looking at that? And if you are like, we can sit down, we can have a chat about it because you seem to have ambition. So I want to feed that ambition. You know what I mean? So I don't want to just let somebody say what they're interested in doing and just think, oh, okay, just sit back and fold my arms and be like, okay, let's see you get it done. I'm like, okay, how have you? A lot of the time, many people who, including myself, when I start something, for me, obviously, the difference is that I like to think, obviously, ahead ahead of time. But somebody who I might be talking to may think, oh, I want to start a radio show, and they're like, I like anime, I like storytelling and all that stuff, and then I'll be like, okay, if you like animes, if you like storytelling, have you thought about like maybe connecting with other people who may be doing something similar to
Hmm.
what you're doing? That might give you a kind of like a broader sense of what's happening in what you want to go into. Because obviously, we don't want to go into things with like blind. We want to do some research. We want to do our due diligence. We want to make sure we've done our homework so that we don't get in a situation where like, oh damn, I didn't think of that.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you. And like this is the thing. What I would simply say is like, yeah, doing your due diligence, but not sort of getting caught up in the sort of realm of perfection.
Mhm,
Many people get caught up in that and they go, yes, it has to be perfect. It has to be like this way. If I don't have the like with right now, if I don't have the right camera or the right mic, or if I don't have like these people working for me, and by the time they've actually like sat down and if by some miracle that perfect moments come together,
mhm.
yeah, like that time may have left them. But yes, getting things done. I'm liking this. Like with regards to yourself, like okay, what like there are many different vehicles you could use to get your message across. Why are you using podcasting, say, as like one of your main vehicles?
Well, I like podcasting because it was actually inspired in 2020 when there's a friend of mine, a close friend of mine, who I would always have WhatsApp calls with, like in 2020, and I thought, we have a lot of valuable things to share with the world,
Hmm.
and we're talking about it on a WhatsApp call. So I thought to myself, why not do it on a podcast? Why not get it out there into the world so that people can come across it, people can listen, can resonate, can also, get themselves thinking about, like, looking at themselves, looking at how they view the world. Are they, on the right path, or are there things they need to look at, that kind of a thing?
Hmm.
So initially it was supposed to be a two-person podcast, but mostly my friend pulled out. So, but I always wanted to do it. So I took the time to sit down and think about how I wanted to structure it. I wanted it to be something that uplifts people because at the time, I think in 2020 we were having lockdowns. It's our first lockdown in the UK. So I'm pretty sure you remember that what that was like. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, put it this way, a lot of Netflix was watched. Tiger
yeah.
King. There you go. Yep. Put it this way, like in our household, like there was myself, my lady,
Mhm,
and like it
mhm,
was a case of, yeah, I was put on furlough, and my lady had to like was like, okay, you're working 9 to 5, and like some of the looks she gave me, some of the days where I was like,
mhm.
what are you doing today? Anything I got damn please. She was just like, I was just like, there's a green eyes of envy. The green eyes. You have no idea.
Oh, yeah, yeah, exactly, man. And like, and at the same time as well, going back obviously to just
Yeah.
finish off the whole setting up of it. So, um, and like when you mentioned about perfection and all that a bit earlier, I
Hmm.
was also in that space where I wanted it to be perfect and all that, and then something just clicked in my head, and I said, you know what, screw it. It's not going to be perfect when I start. I might as well just start it,
Hmm.
and then improve it as I go along. So that's how I kind of formed that podcast, and I wanted to have people come on, people from different backgrounds. If you're interested as well, I'd love to have you on the podcast as well for you to, come and share your story about overcoming challenges, obstacles, how you maintained positive, how you stayed productive and focused, and all those kind of things. I'd love it. That's the whole essence of like I wanted different people, all people, like people from different backgrounds, people from different with different sorts of experiences and all that to come on and share their side of their story
Mm.
and leave their words of inspiration for the listeners because globally I don't know how many people there are in the world. I'm not going to speculate, but there's a lot of people in the world.
Around about I think 8.5 billion people
So
in the world.
and to think of the people who have access to like internet and all those things, those people who can then listen and share, like listen and share like positive words that are being shared by other people, because I think a lot of the time the reason why a lot of people, and obviously this is not me saying that this is a deductive conclusion, but like from what I noticed during the lockdowns, a lot of like people were getting depressed and all that because they felt like isolated and they didn't have that sort of like spark or somebody to add that light to their dark room, for instance. So
Hmm.
I wanted to create this podcast so that people could be doing stuff whilst listening to what I have to share, what my guests have to share on how they've overcome things. Some people may be in a position where they're being challenged by something that you've overcome, right? And they get like an epiphany moment that Muyiwa has, is how I pronounce your name properly, like Muyiwa, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Uh,
let's say, yeah, God, you're going to
no, no, carry on. Like, don't,
say?
like, don't. I'm not here to interrupt your thought. Go through, follow through.
I know because I also sit in the same chair you sit as a host, so I'm also so used to just stopping and letting the other person speak. But basically, like if you share a challenge that you've overcome, like somebody listening in maybe in Barbados or in Argentina or in Brazil or let's say in Angola or like Australia, is let's say going through something similar, and if they hear that you've overcome it, it should also then not necessarily like, but also give that person an positive indication that they can also overcome that challenge that they're facing because you're living testament of overcoming that challenge yourself, right? And they should use that as motivation to say, if Muyiwa can do it, if Takura can do it, if let's say John or Sam or whoever, right, can overcome this challenge, then I can also do it, but I have to do it in my own unique way because I can't do it the same way Miura did it because he has got a certain way of thinking, a certain way of executing. I have a certain way of thinking, a certain way of executing. So kind of how that came about.
Right, I see. So would you say you're a type of person who is basically like, okay, there is the road well traveled, the
Mhm.
paths where people go down, which you guys go, okay, this is the path thousands and millions of people have gone down. I can
Mhm.
follow this path. Or would you say you're now like becoming more of a like someone helping people find their path, becoming a pathfinder in that sort of sense of things, you know?
Oh, right, yeah. So that's an interesting one. I think it's a mixture of both. If I'll be perfectly honest, I think in order for let's say myself to overcome challenges, like if I don't like uh seek out the information to
Hmm.
overcome something or to understand something better, I will never like improve on it. Like for instance, right now I'm in a constant battle with learning the German language, right? So I'm learning German because it's one of the languages I want to also branch out into for my podcast, as well as it's one of the many languages I want to um, be able to speak and converse in with other people. But I'll explain why the motivations behind language after answering this question.
Okay, no worries,
I
carry on. Yeah.
but I think like in many ways helping people find their like find their path, but not necessarily like walking the journey, like walking the journey with them, but they have to be the ones to do the actions. Like you can't carry somebody
Mm,
across the finishing line. They have to want to cross the finishing line for themselves. And like all of our lives are different. Like I know they are like tried and tested methods that work, but they only work if you try them, you know.
Yeah.
So if I, let's say, if you tell me that there's like three ways of overcoming a challenge, I can say, okay, cool. But out of those three, I might pick number two because number two works best for me, right? Instead of like trying to use all three at once, I would have to assess the ones you've given me and then say, okay, I can use number two, but can I add something to number two to make it better? You know, that kind of a thing. That's how I kind of think about it. I also kind of link it to if you watch football. If you watch football, like the team I support will cause a lot of controversy. It always does, but like because I support Manchester City, um, Kevin De Bruyne is by far the best midfielder in the world, right?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Like, okay, carry on. Yes. Like,
but
like,
but the,
no, carry on.
but
I insist. Kevin De Bruyne, the best midfielder in the world.
in my
Okay,
opinion,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Okay, no, yeah.
But basically, the whole concept behind it is he's very good at seeing what's ahead of him and creating assists for people to score as well as scoring for himself. So having that extended vision to see what's going to happen before it even happens, I want to kind of have that effect with my podcast and how I interact with people. Like I can foresee, not as in like I'm a predictor of future teller, but like if you tell me like if you're interested in going into a specific field, if I know anything about the specific field, I can give you inside information about it, or
Mhm.
I can connect you with somebody who I may know on that side, saying, oh, I think for instance, like there's a friend of mine who wants to become a software engineer, um, and he hasn't like finished like all of his studies, and he wanted to he wants to become a software engineer, but he doesn't know where to start. So I said, I know a friend of mine who's a software engineer, and he also works in cybersecurity, so I can connect you with him, and you guys can have a discussion and get the ball rolling, so you can get an idea of what you need to work towards if you want to become a software engineer.
Mm.
So same way, if De Bruyne is on the pitch and if he can see that if Sterling makes a run, I'll put the ball where I want to put it, and he should be able to finish it and score. Now, whether Sterling finishes or not, that's up to Sterling. But being able to create that pass with the right amount of not going to all the technicals about how he passes the ball because he's a magnificent passer of the ball, but like being able to put somebody else in a position where they can progress as well. You know, we're all supposed to win. So it links back to my philosophy is if I'm going to win, you know, if other people like I want other people to win as well, but I also want them to work for what they want as at the same time. So I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. Like, this is the thing. I would sort of like one of the things I would push back slightly
Yeah.
on. It's like, look, with regards to we're all meant to win, and
Mm,
as much as you can have like the best system, the best technique, have like the best team at the
mm,
at a certain time, it
mm,
doesn't happen all the time. Look, put it
mm,
this way. Look, okay, you mentioned your team, Man City.
mm,
Okay, right, you have consistently won Premier Leagues for quite a few times. But
yeah,
like, yes, but this is the thing. Yes, teams get in your way, like my team, Liverpool. Like,
yeah,
yeah, basically throws you off. It doesn't like you can have everything in place. You could set everything up. You could like find that path, but you've also got to also be prepared. There might be a time where failure comes, and it's a case of okay, being able to get up and then basically like hitting like getting up, hitting the road again, and like yeah, pushing yourself forward. Because look, life has its seasons, and like this is the thing, you can't. It's not a permanent fixture until yeah we move on from
mhm,
this world. And like I
Mhm.
think many people forget that. And it's a case of why they like if they're striving for perfection, if they get disheartened when like yeah, things don't go their way. And it might be a case of like, yeah, coming up with a number of different like formulations and like trying to get things right, which takes a lot
Mhm.
of tweaking because all of us are unique in the way we react to the way life throws us problems. Some might
Mhm.
be like optimistic, like yourself. Some might be a little bit more pessimistic out there. Or like, yeah, some people who get hit hard, really hard, you like, oh my God, that is the nightmare of all nightmares. And everything's come down upon them, might not even get up. And others might just like go, how on earth are you functioning? How on earth are you going forward? It's like, yeah, it's a real big thing there. But like, yeah, helping people like tweak, find those systems is a very noble thing.
Mhm.
Helping like people, like helping connect people in that sense of community is a like thing I think which needs to be done a lot more. So, even though we live in this wonderful world of like new communications every day. We're talking over the internet, like basically using a program, like we're like basically look, telephones, everything. All of this technology is there, but yeah, the connections, the one-on-one connections are fewer and far like further between now
Mhm.
than it's ever been. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I get you. I get you on that, and it makes a lot of sense. Uh, and I think I'll start from the beginning when you mentioned that life has its ups and downs. Like I
Yeah.
think in the beginning, I think before we recorded, when we are having a discussion about like in life you progress a lot quicker when there's ups and downs, and
Mm,
you need adversity because adversity is what's going to build up your character, build up your resilience and not have an attitude where like if problems come you're like oh doom and gloom I have to you're now dreading you look at the challenge and be like another challenge I've just warmed up I just got back up from the eighth round where I got knocked out again so you're ready to fight you get yourself back in the ring and obviously fight again to overcome all of those things and like I think even if I use a personal example of myself so when I finished my masters, I struggled to get a job in the UK as an international student. That's obviously for those watching. If you're an international student trying to get a job, like it's next to impossible. But it's not impossible. It is quite challenging. But I ended up struggling to get a job altogether. Um, and then I ended up, at the time I didn't know, but like the permit I was on or that I applied to, it was actually the wrong permit.
aye,
Um, so then, but obviously I won't go into that. But then, like further down the line, I ended up finding a job with a really good employer, really good pay. What? As a graduate, I was thinking, this is the time, this is my moment. I obviously shared that with my family, and all of us were celebrating, but I couldn't start it because of the whole permit thing. And then uh, later on in the month, like I lost the job, and then the visa got refused, obviously. And then the following month, my father passed away. So it was a number of event after event after event, like good things were happening, but also bad things were happening as well. So I also came to a point of realization, self-realization that, in life, obviously, I'm gonna have good and bad times. But it's how I react to all of the both of those scenarios, which is going to define me as an individual, as a person, my legacy on this earth, what I'm going to leave behind, etc., etc. So I said to myself, whether rain, whether sunshine, I'll work my hardest if if I meet people who kind of resemble the same values I have, I'm pretty sure like there's more values that I have that I haven't mentioned inside my brand that that resonate with me. But if I meet people that have that mindset that they want to improve, they want to make a lasting impact, lasting positive impact. They want to overcome their personal challenges because I think at the same time, the whole thing of victim mentality, etc., etc., etc. I think
mm,
we are the drivers behind getting ourselves out. So I always refer myself to being inside the hole. Like in many ways, we're gonna need each other. Obviously, like in times where like you could support me, I could support you, but a lot of the other time it's gonna be me pushing myself to get myself out of a sticky situation, or getting myself into a position where I can be in a place where, let's say, I'm able to meet somebody like you who could then put like subtly suggest a technique or a strategy I can use to improve my life and then make things better for myself, right? So that's how I kind of also look at that whole the aspect of failure, that it's going to happen, but it's what that period is going to teach me, what my outlook on it is going to determine how I react and how I'm going to use that as motivation to go forward, for instance. So obviously, like with all the things that I've gone through, I'm still pretty sure that with the podcast I'm doing, connecting with you, speaking with other people, that's never going to change. Like
Mhm.
for me personally, it's not going to change. Like I think adversity is supposed to happen, but it's one of those where I'm now embracing it along my journey. I'm not going to kind of use it as a hindrance. I'm not going to welcome it and use it as as an advantage to myself, because then I can push myself to become better, to learn what I haven't learned before, and it's try and give the world, or share information or content with people to say, look, in life you're gonna have good times, you're gonna have bad times. It's not gonna be rosy all the time, but it's about how we proactively work towards creating environments where we can live. We can have moments of happiness, we can have moments of sadness, we can have moments of anger, of joy, but use all of those moments to say that, what, we're living, and we're contributing in a productive way, in a positive way, in a sustainable way as well. So that's kind of like my whole essence behind the that question. I don't know if I've answered everything. I kind of feel like I've gone into another realm, but like your team is also great. I think you guys are probably our biggest challenge, because like you said, in football you don't win every single game. You win and you lose games, but like I've also learned that it's about, you have to accept when you're winning. You accept when you're winning, but when you lose, you have to accept that you've lost, but also learn that, okay, what made us lose today? Can we look at things to improve so that we're better next time? I think the Champions League final was also uh, a,
Like,
a life lesson.
well, you know what I mean. Mate, one day you will win one of those trophies. One day.
Well, one day I'm hoping. I think the club itself, like, because we're not talking football, but City have now set up an establishment where, whether it's a new coach or a new coaching team comes in, the infrastructure is there, the philosophy and the mindset is there at the club to say, we want to win. We want to win. We want to give the manager time. We want to build for the next managers, that he can continue to build on that success, on and on and on and on and on and on. And I kind of take that and also apply it to my life as well, in a way. Obviously, I'm a massive fan. I'm privileged to have gone and watched football games. I wish I could have gone to more, but we get what we get. But that whole essence of, you want to build, and then hopefully the next person, whether it's my kids, or it's cousins, or it's friends, or it's brother, sister, or whoever, can take some things that I've produced, or what I've taught them, and then pass it on to the next person and see if that helps them, that kind of thing. That's how I kind of have my overall view of life and stuff. So I don't know.
No, no, no. I hear you. I hear you. But like, this is the
Yeah,
thing. Like, you mentioned like football once more, but like the whole thing
yeah.
is like, with regards to like, yeah, systems what put in play and you like
Mm,
put in place, you
mm,
and basically, yeah, people not like people, teams, organizations not winning at all, like all the time. You got to remember what the true, like, to be a champion at anything, it's not about having 100% success. Like if you read, like if we throw this back to say, okay, Man United, when they were winning everything,
Yeah.
okay, now, um, or if you went to Kenny Dalglish when like Liverpool went in everything. Now, the winning ratio you need to have to be like, yeah, league champions is between 55% to 65%, depending on who your opposition is. And like what I think people often forget in life, if you really want to like win at something or be like, if you just want a significant, like, there's two things. If you want to win at something in life, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to like win every single day, the ups and downs, everything like this. That's on one side of things. If you want to change your life, if you want to make your life considerably better, aim to do 2% better than you did yesterday. And you
Yes.
keep doing that 2%, doing that 2%, doing that 2%. Before you know it, by the time you've come to the end of a month, if you've hit all of those metrics, you're 30% better than you were. If you hit 30, like 3 months, you're 90% like better than you were. If you've been perfect. But as we know, we rise, we fall, fall, and we rise. But if you can say at the end of 3 months that, yeah, my life is 20% better than it was before, you've got a new baseline of what your life can be, a new baseline of excellence, a new baseline of where you can put like of potential. It's just like, yeah, people need to sort of like remember this. And like, man, I think, yeah, you can help with this because like, okay, the podcast is one thing, but would you say, like, would you consider, say, like branching out in more things? Because I see you have a Twitch channel. I see you, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? You're on the Snapchat, you're on the Instagram, like, you're in a lot of places. Would
Yeah.
you ever sort of consider, like, okay, doing a standalone YouTube channel?
A standalone YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I think I do that already. I don't know.
Because like this is the thing, you have got a YouTube channel. Yes, I see that,
Yeah.
but it is, oh, press pause so it doesn't play. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but it is all your podcast interviews there. But like, I mean, okay, like, yes, more on the sort of line of, say, productivity, like things you can put in place, like the methodologies you like look to help improve your life, and basically, yeah, other methodologies you might bring in from other people to put into practice. Because like, be a teacher as well as a practitioner, say.
Yes, yes, yes. I think I agree with that. I think it's something that I've thought of, and I think I want to do it ideally like right now in the current situation. Like I think I told you, like having constant power cuts and access to internet and all that, it can slow progress down. But I do want to start like a potent challenge. So like for each value of potent, like there's a challenge of positivity, a challenge of optimism, a challenge of tenacity and nobleness.
Mhm.
Um, and actually have practical applications of that, like working with people in the public. Um, I have thought about it. People have asked me if I talk to larger groups of people, and I think my time in Enactus, which is student-led social entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
it's giving me the practice. Like I need to obviously be comfortable speaking in large groups, work with a wider range of people. It's something that I do want to go into for sure, and working with charities and all that stuff. I was actually doing my coaching badges in football, so
Okay.
I'm actually got the level one coaching badges. So working with young people, also giving them, the basic fundamental or the fundamentals of becoming a good footballer, if that's what they choose to go and do with their lives, because they're still quite young. They might choose to go on and start businesses and all that. But being in that space where I can utilize those skills, like I think I'm slowly getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like I guess also getting to a point where I create that content. I haven't really got to that point where I'm like, okay, today I want to show people how I've let's say 30 days. I want to I want to visually show them like how I've developed this aspect. I think I'll probably do that for my language learning. So with me learning German, like what I've done on a daily basis, what I've done to practice and improve it, and share that with people who want to learn the language, for
Yeah.
instance. Like,
Why German?
well, I think German's it's one of the I think is it six are they six Latin languages? I think it's six. But like the reason why I want to learn German is one of the nine languages I want to pick up because uh I've been in situations where I've met people who are like who speak a different like I could only speak English and my traditional language, Shona,
Mm-hmm.
and they need help or they need uh guidance or they're just looking for somebody to talk to. And I can't engage with that person because there's a language barrier in between us. So German is one of the languages I picked up, and then there was also French, Spanish, Portuguese. The list is like the list of languages. Like if you think of all the Latin-based languages, and then maybe Chinese, Japanese, and then Russian. But like all of those languages, because I want to be able to build a network or a bridge of connection and engage with people who only speak those languages, right? Build an appreciation for the culture, and not in many ways not be ignorant. I want to understand um, what it's like to be a Russian, what it's like to be a Chinese person, what it's like to be a German, what it's like to be a Spanish person, a French person, a Brazilian who comes from a Portuguese speaking Brazilian. I want to understand, and I want to, whenever they interact with me, they want to know that, they're talking with somebody who is attempting to understand where they're coming from. Because I think, like you said earlier, if we rewind a bit, like you mentioned that we've got all of this technology upon us. It's helping us in extraordinary ways, but that one-to-one engagement and that one-to-one conversation, we're struggling to have that. So that's one of the motivations behind why I want to learn German as part of other languages, is to build that one-to-one engagement with people,
Mm.
but also like improve my ability to speak. And it's always been something I wanted to do, but like before like 2020, my headspace and the people I was around, you could say, oh, I want to learn language, and then they'd be like, oh, okay, good luck, man. Like, there's no sort of like encouragement or support or whatnot. And I think it's what happens to a lot of people, and they end up giving up on something they want to start because the people around them don't believe in that. But for me, what I picked up now is it is possible. It will take time, depending on when you start and how you start and your motivations behind learning. But whatever you set out on doing, you can achieve it. Um, and also putting yourself in the atmosphere around other people who have that can do mindset, who
Mm-hmm.
have that motivational mindset, who understand like it's never going to be perfect. Let's get started and improve along the way. Like my pronunciation in certain aspects in German are good, but in other aspects I struggle and I continue to struggle. And I'm happy to struggle because at least I know when I'm now able to speak it properly, I can look back and I can say, well, I had that period of struggle to teach me that I had to keep practicing. I had to keep plugging away at it. There are like some words when I'm learning them, I have to say them to myself like 5 times for 5 minutes, like continuously. Like one word is uh, multiculturalismus, multiculturalismus, which is basically in German, it's multiculturalism. So
Mm-hmm.
saying that word, also obviously you break it down into smaller pieces. Say multiculturalismus, and then at some point you try and join it all together, and then you try and say the whole word at once. So I know that for people listening, if there anyone who's learning, who understands German, they may have heard that me trying to say Multikulti Kulturalismus, and they'll say that now this guy he's somewhat there. It sounds a bit weird, but you can tell that he's trying to break through that last barrier of that psychological wall that we put up to inhibit ourselves from progressing. So he's about to break through it, but it's going to take time because obviously as well the brain also needs to also get
Absorb.
used to it. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I think that's um on that. I think as well, like you kind of see that when you ask me one question, I answer the question, well, I half answer a question and then I branch out into other things. So
No, I hear you. I hear you. But like this is the thing. No,
yeah.
like it just like when I listen to your answer, like yes, you like
Mhm,
want to learn 9 languages, which is,
mhm,
you know what I mean? It
mhm,
is one heck of a challenge. And let me just say, as a person who speaks one language poorly, that's another story. But like here, like this is the thing. Like when I hear that, and it's a case of you want to build that one-on-one connection,
mhm,
like I have a sense like that, yes, your time in Zimbabwe, like you're just currently on a rest stop. Like
mhm.
because the real way to absorb any language is to live in those communities,
Yes.
and that's when it sort of really like gets there. And basically, if you want that feel for okay, what what is life for a German person? What is life for a Portuguese person? What is
Mhm,
life for a French person? Chinese, Japan, like on and on and on. It's
mhm,
like, yeah, being in that community, living like because don't get me wrong, you might have a vibrant like German speaking community in Zimbabwe. I'm
mhm,
I'm gonna jump to an assumption, maybe not, but
mhm.
it might be there. But would you say like would you say I'm wrong in saying that, or is Germany in the horizon for you in the next say year or two when things get a little bit less crazy?
Yes, yes. I think you are 100% right that the quickest way to become a native speaker or somewhat native speaker with my deep Zimbabwean accent is live in and around the culture, be surrounded by it. That way you pick it up a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm.
You put yourself in social situations where you may not be perfect at speaking, but because there's no other option, you have to speak, you know. And I say this in a positive sense because when you're around people who speak German, when all you hear is you listen and you speak German, it becomes a part of you. And Germany is one of the countries I've always also wanted to visit, like China and Japan as well, to see what things are like there, because it links back to what we were saying earlier that yes, in my country there's schools where you can learn all these languages. There's a small knit community where we can have like celebrations. We can celebrate Oktoberfest or what other cultural events are there. But being in that culture, being in the culture, like in the nucleus of where everything is happening, you absorb things a lot quicker. Um, I also love I really like Brazil and Brazilian music. So you know, going there and seeing how like Brazilians live, how they interact, and all that. I actually did an immersive course in Brazilian Portuguese, and the teachers are from Brazil. They're from Minas Gerais, the state of Minas Gerais, and they're talking about how beautiful their country is, how you can learn Portuguese more effectively. Uh, you know, like the Netflixes, listening to music. Um, I think like nowadays, what COVID's created is a lot of virtual online events as well. So,
Mm.
you know, attending those online virtual events, even though I can only probably say my name in Portuguese, um,
Hey, I put it this way, you're doing better than me. Let's just say that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a case of like, for you, right? Uh, you've always wanted. I'm pretty sure there's things you've gone out. You said to yourself, "I'm going to achieve this. I'm going to achieve. I want to achieve this. I want to achieve that. I'm going to work towards it." And you've managed to do so. And there are other things you're continuously working towards as well. I'm kind of also in the same space. That I feel like languages is is kind of the next step for me because uh that whole like the whole building the connection with people, but also expanding my brain because I've seen other people who are able to do it. Like I think I've watched videos and I've attended virtual polyglot conferences where somebody can speak 16 languages in one go, and you're just thinking to yourself like, how
Mm. Don't fall
you
into
know.
that trap because comparison is the robber of joy.
Yes,
Remember?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. But like the whole essence of seeing, let's say, that person who speaks 16 languages, right,
Yeah.
is if I target to speak maybe half of those languages because I have a genuine interest in wanting to learn how to speak those languages. I I I I will gradually get towards like work towards getting to that target. Obviously, as long as I set myself up to succeed, there will be ups and downs and all that, and there'll be plateaus in learning a language. But the fact that I'm using somebody else as an example to inspire myself to push myself even further, right? I've got my intrinsic inspiration and then I've got my extrinsic inspiration. So I'm using both of them to kind of push me towards my target as well because um I feel like as much as we live and we improve, there's always going to be something new we pick up or some new sort of situation we get into where you kind of wish, I wonder what would have happened if I had, let's say, basic knowledge of French, for instance, or like basic knowledge of Spanish. Like, would the interaction have gone better? Would I have gotten a positive reaction from the person I'm speaking to? Would I have been able to open, or like diffuse a situation that may have escalated like worse or something like that? But that's the whole essence of it. Like, if I can manage to gain an appreciation for all of these languages, cultures, actually live in the countries for a while and see what it's really like, then I can say full rounded that I can say my journey of learning, let's say, German and understanding the German culture has reached a certain point of accomplishment because I've managed to be able to converse and communicate with people, get around Germany, experience local events, engage in local events as well, maybe as a volunteer or as a, you know, just be, be becoming, becoming part of that culture becomes a part of you as well, that kind of a thing, if that makes sense. I don't,
No, I hear you. I hear you. But I am curious because like
yes,
this is the thing. Like, yeah,
yeah.
learning the German language, yeah, it's a good challenge, you know what I mean? Picking
Mhm,
up a new language, picking up a new skill, like improving yourself. It's great. But like this,
mhm,
like one of the things what all like has come to mind with us having this conversation, like what
mhm,
is stopping you from going to Germany and like basically go, hey, you know what? I want to live here for a year or two, like improve my like skills, like my German language skills. Like, look, you like
mhm,
you're an engineer by skill and trade, and
mhm,
yeah, remote working is much more acceptable these days. You might be
mhm,
might be living in Germany, but you might be working for an English firm or an American firm where
mhm,
the language barrier is not a problem, or like you might work for a German company where they have an English division, and like you know what I mean, you improve that way. What's stopping you from doing that?
well, there isn't anything really stopping me. I'm working towards the language first, because there's certain, I think, permits you can get once you reach a certain level. speaking and understanding of German.
Hmm.
I think they give you like 12 months on the German language visa. So you can come in and choose to do whatever you want as long as you've got that proof that you can speak that language. So my approach to it is obviously making sure I understand the language and the fundamentals of the culture before or before opening myself. And also as well, like on our side of the globe, like we've got the restrictions and the whole there's also that as well to consider. But um, at the moment, Germany is one of my targets in the next 12 months. It's just that I'm also focusing on the language as well to make sure that when I go, let's say, I have a fulfilling experience because I'm not coming from, you know, English speaking only, and majority of the people I'm around are speaking German. And that I don't know if you've ever had that kind of travel experience where you've gone abroad, you don't speak the language they speak where you're traveling, and you're trying to get to places and you don't know how, and then you end up relying on technology more than engaging with actual people. So
Like I've
advice.
had that many a time, and like this is the thing. There was a time where I was like going around Europe,
Yeah,
selling like satellite communication equipment
yeah.
for vessels. So like I've been like through Holland, I've been through like Germany, I've been like through pretty much Norway, like most places in Europe. I've bounced here, there, and everywhere, and
Yeah.
look, I managed to succeed. Like getting through with like like gestures and like the sympathy of people who might like know English and like help me get through it. But like this, like I am still like I'm like steely eyed, focused on you. Like I look, no, because like this is the thing. Okay, okay, the world is still in disarray. Europe,
Yes.
Europe, and I say this with UK in mind as well, is still a little bit of a shit show when it comes to sort of like letting people in and traveling and stuff like this. And
Yeah.
like this is the thing. 2022 is like I would say, why don't you throw everything in the kitchen sink at it, like to get that German language skill down? So like by the
Hmm.
time it gets to like we are currently in January, February, just around the corner. So by the time it gets to say August, September, you're like, all right, I've got my skill set to such a level that
Hmm.
okay, you go and like go right, I want to apply because I'm not too sure how long the application process will be.
Hmm.
I can imagine on the really quick, optimistic side, a month, if not, like most probably anything from 3 to 4 months,
Yeah.
maybe a little
Yeah.
bit longer. But like, really sort of getting it down. So, but like, say by this time next year, on the earliest, you are on a flight to Germany. Like, like you know what I mean, or like yes, by March next year, you're there in
Hmm.
Germany, doing what you want to do and really absorbing the culture. Um,
Hmm.
if not Germany, like okay, you know what, Germany, like German's not the thing. Like learning Portuguese and like either going to Portugal or Brazil and doing it that way. But like this is
Hmm.
the thing, like Germany is is your focus right now. But
Hmm.
throw everything at it, go for it
Yes.
because
Yes.
look,
Absolutely.
because you're doing this. You're the Prince of the North. Remember this. So like you're getting this like launch, right? So you got
Yeah.
this on one side, and like I don't know if like are you married? Do you have kids and everything like
No.
that? So
No.
you
No.
don't okay, you don't have anything else to distract you. Maybe a weekend thing here and there, but I don't. I'm
No.
not. As I said, oh yeah, but you don't have anything else to distract you. Like so, like you know what I mean. You've you're highly educated. You're highly
Mhm.
focused. Really apply it. Push forward, and like you know what, document it. Like show people. Like look, Hey, I started out at the beginning of the year, not basically knowing about 5 words of freaking German. Uh,
Yeah,
and if you can like go, yeah, by Christmas 2022 and go, yeah, you know what? Yeah, that's how I started the year. Now I can like, yeah, converse and I'm moving over to Germany for like, yeah, the next 2 years and
yeah,
document that. And like, you know what I mean? You're putting into like, you're not just a theorist, you're not just a teacher, you're a true practitioner of
yeah,
everything you say and believe it, you know? And
yeah,
like, you know what I mean? If that ain't a realm of something where people can go, that is a source of inspiration, I don't know what is.
yeah, yeah. I know. Like, I think on the language speaking, on the German side, I've actually set myself a target for the end of this April. I should be able to have like basic to intermediate conversations with people. So,
Mm-hmm,
talking about basic things like family and like where I'm from, and potentially even like practice mock job interviews, for instance. My target is obviously like end of April.
mm-hmm.
In terms of from a theoretical perspective, I know up to B1 level in German, but speaking it's still pretty much A1 because obviously I've been kind of maybe I've been doing it the other way around, whereas I should have been speaking more than writing and understanding. But
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing more of like the theoretical understanding, like doing exercises and all that stuff, and then gradually getting into speaking and stuff. Um, on my Instagram channel, actually, I have those little bubbles where you can put like story highlights. So I've put language diaries there, and it's basically me speaking in German, in Italian, uh, pretty much basic things like "Hi, my name is Takura,"
Mm-hmm.
and let's say you're listening to the Prince of the North podcast, for instance, like those basic things. But I'm trying to get myself like even if I share stuff on social media, some people give me feedback on how I'm speaking and stuff, but putting myself in that uncomfortable space that you know if it like I'm at this point I'm open to criticism, and the more um I get used to criticism, it won't hamper my journey to mastering the language, because I think in many ways, like for me and you both, from what we've experienced in our lifetimes, is we work towards achieving certain things, and there's always going to be somebody who says something, right? But it's about building up that immunity to like this person is just saying it, like, or filtering out like what you hear from people, because you want to take the like obviously the positive stuff, but also the constructive feedback, because there's people who give you feedback but not give you any sort of tips on how to improve. But then the people who give you feedback and say, if you do more grammar drills, if you listen to this YouTube channel, like Easy German YouTube channel, for instance, if you watch more videos from there, if you, let's say, go out and like virtually speak to more people who want to, let's say, master English, and you want to learn German, like those kind of things. That's what I'm got in my atmosphere. Like I always get like random responses. Like people say, "Oh, your accent isn't aggressive enough to be German," or like, or like,
Oh
you're
no. It's
you,
like you got
or
to have a
you're
certain flair to it.
yeah, and like you let's say, like for instance, like I tried I'm also like with the whole Russian thing. Like I was curious to see how you'd say hi, my name is Takura in Russian. So you say Privyet, ya Takura, and then I posted that video on Instagram, and then I had some people say that if you say it with a straight face and without a smile, people that you may be a little more convincing, because people have a connotation to say Russians are always serious when they speak and all that stuff. But obviously, me, like I'm gonna learn that as I learn about the culture and I speak to people, like what Russian people, how Russians speak Russian are like, and all that stuff, and how they view the world. And like I think that's what I want to kind of break out of, not the whole thing of like I want to associate British people, like for instance, like um what's this thing called? Fish and chips, for instance. Like you know how they say British people fish and chips, French people croissants, Italian people pizza and spaghetti bolognese, and then Spanish people. I want to break away from those stereotypes, and I want to understand like what it's actually like
What
to
the nuance?
yes, yes. And I want to be there to defend and say, actually, there's more to British people than this. There's more to Italian people than what they think about. There's more to Russian people than what they think about. There's more to all these people than what the stereotype is. Like, there's more to it. Like, it's one of those where I think um, people like Simon Sinek and Gary Vaynerchuk have talked about, like, if you want to understand something, you have to go out and experience it and expose yourself to that. Um, and in many ways, before my dad passed as well, he also alluded to, you have to want to go out there, expose yourself to all of these things to actually absorb everything fully, right? So I always use that as motivation. Uh, and end of April, I'll send you a message um, telling you where I'm at. And also, if I can get you onto my podcast as well, that would be amazing. Um, so yeah, so end of April. So I don't know how many days does April have? 30, 30, 31,
31. No, wait, no, 30, excuse me. 30.
30, 30.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
that's the thing.
March
You
is
see, like
31 and basically April should be 30 because
30,
following
30.
directly after. Excuse me. No, yeah, 30.
Yeah. So you see, like, so on the 30th of April, I'll be like, Muyiwa, this is where I'm at with my German. Let's have spoken to X a number of people who speak the German language. This is my experience with them, that kind of a thing. And I'll probably do a YouTube video on it, like the whole experience of the methods I've been using to learn German, and like I think even as well, like I want to say a massive shout out to my sister. My sister, also she lives and speaks. She lives in Germany and she speaks German as well. But she's also been a major foundation for me learning German, because she's shared all of the materials she's used, uh, shared her experiences, and it's been a massive help. Same way with Italian and with Portuguese. Like the Portuguese, I can thank my two teachers. If I can remember their names, but they call their YouTube channel, I think it's Yes to Portuguese or Yes Portuguese. Yes, it's Yes Portuguese. So my teachers, Ludmila and Adrieli, that's for Portuguese. Italian, I'm still looking for that person to, like, as my mentor slash motivator. But one of my friends who I know, she featured on my podcast as well. She's Italian, Angelica. Uh, in a way, it kind of inspired me to want to pick up these languages, because I've got all these great people I can speak to as well in my life. Not only like if I go to those countries, but those people who speak those languages, that I kind of I'm pushing myself to also connect with them on their on their on like, not on their level, but from a language perspective, connect with them, and strengthen the friendship or the relationship or the connection we have. Build a stronger relationship there, and also be in a position to may sometimes speak in English, sometimes speak in Italian or Portuguese. So that's also where I'm at as well. So um,
Mm,
yeah,
yeah, no. So your sister is fluent in German, is she?
yes, yes.
And like, would you say your sister has a quite a like good social group of friends?
I'd say so. I'd say she's also somebody who's inspired me in the sense that because we're all from Zimbabwe. We basically we were born and raised in Zimbabwe. We did our educate we did up to end of high school education in Zimbabwe, and then our our parents, like my mom and my dad, they sent us into Europe, overseas, to learn, to go obviously get educated, but also establish ourselves in those countries. And my sister is somebody who's gone to she started in the Netherlands and then by herself, and then she migrated to Germany shortly after, and obviously she's now fluent in German and she can speak a bit of Dutch. So that's also what inspired me, because when I moved to the UK initially, like my dad was very heavy on me leaning on my my uncles and aunts for support and stuff. And I was all for it because I was like, new in this country, I've got people who can help me and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad's younger brother, who's my uncle who stays in the UK, was like, if you want to learn about the UK, you need to explore and go and learn the UK on your own, for instance. And that's where it kind of stemmed from. And then when I moved all the way up to the northeast, up to Middlesbrough, Newcastle area, I knew absolutely no one. I knew no one, but I said to myself, this is a new challenge. I'm excited at the prospect of meeting new people. I, put myself in situations where I could meet people for volunteering, joining university society, um, you know, trying out, trying out like, when you just, I think also volunteering at I don't know what they call it. It's like a sort of festival in the Northeast. It's called the Mela. It's basically to show off arts, culture, music, food, all of these things. So people from like all over the world who are based in the Northeast, they come and they share, what makes them so great about like where they're from and all that. So that's another place where I also met people and
Mm-hmm.
was able to build connections with people and so on
Yeah.
and so forth. So
Okay, I hear you. I hear you. The reason why I'm gonna bring you back, the reason why I was like, okay, yeah, your sister. Okay,
yeah,
now with regards to what, like, a small challenge,
yeah,
April, April the 3rd, you want to be on that, like that level where you can have that, yeah, basic conversations, stuff like this.
hmm
2 conversations a week. 2 conversations a week with one
okay,
with your sister
yeah,
every week up
yeah,
until the 30th. And
yeah,
then if your sister can introduce you to like German friends where like yeah, they can like speak to you for like in German for half an hour or so,
hmm
like over a Zoom call or like yeah, like over like a WhatsApp call and do
hmm
it that way because the reason why I say WhatsApp just in case the power goes out, uh,
yeah,
like being practical, but each and every week with your sister, like
hmm
even like just an hour to an hour and a half each time, and like yeah, basically help you get your sort of between 2 to 5% sort of like little gains here and there, uh,
yeah.
and yeah, keep me
No,
informed
I
how
agree.
it goes every sort of like once a month, and then
Yeah,
basically on the final and on the 30th, yeah, let me know.
yeah, yeah. I think as well, like to add on to what you said, like it builds up that confidence
Hmm.
um doing the little bits like you said, and you highlighted this perfectly early on, like you when you're doing something you're gradually building up, and as you're building up on something your confidence in your ability to do it, it starts to increase as well. So the belief factor is important, but like I think a lot of the time we look at it like big, like too big, like we look at the big picture, but when we break it down and like okay, once a week I speak to my sister for 30 minutes in German, and she corrects me and she guides me and all that stuff. And then slowly but surely the confidence is growing, and like then the next time I speak to it, it's almost like natural, like we speak in German. And yeah, I get what you're saying, and I agree. Like I'll definitely do that. I'll definitely give it a go.
Yeah, but it's not just your sister. Like it'll be a case of getting your sister to introduce you to people also, like to be able to speak German if she's
Yeah,
down with that, and
yeah,
like yeah, take it forward from there.
yeah,
Like so, like this is the thing. So you're really sort of like pushing, like well, I'm trying to help push you to your
Mhm.
like goal as quickly as possible. Ah.
Yes, exactly. And it's one of those where once the execution happens, like you, I don't know if you've ever had this, but like uh, I'm pretty sure you may have had this like during your time, during your studies, or if you've ever been involved in like societies or community things, like uh, when people talk about doing something versus actually doing it, there's a it's two different worlds, right? It's two different worlds altogether, and I'm pretty sure you obviously you can add in and what you think, but I think when we talk about doing something, it's all fine and dandy, but then the execution, it's a different experience. But when instead of dreading myself by the thought of actually trying to learn German, uh, actually executing it every single day, I try to squeeze in at least a lesson. I can confidently tell you now where I need to improve is possessive pronouns, adjectives, and it's pronouns, nouns, adjectives in all three cases of the German language. So what the ones I've learned so far. So that's nominative, accusative, dative. So those elements I have to have to go back and I have to master, because even when I attempt to build sentences, right? Like I get corrected saying, "Oh, you used the wrong grammatical case for like describing an indirect object." So let's say, for instance, I'm kind of like branching out, but when you want to describe something in let's say, for instance, an example sentence is "Ich gibt dem Kind ein Buch." So that basically means I gave the kid a book, right? But the whole essence of it is understanding that with dem Kind, the dem, it's an indirect object. The kid is the indirect object. The book is the direct object. I'm the subject. So I'm the person. I'm giving the child a book, but like the book is the first thing that I'm giving the child. So the child is going to be the recipient of that. So basically connecting all of those things, like if you think of how these guys in the Big Bang Theory, like how they would like act and say we need to solve this major quadratic equation or something like that. Like that's also um, how I'm basically looking at it. So I don't know if I've kind of if I've answered your question.
You like this is the thing. You do take a quantum leap here and there. Like you know what? I expect it now. It's all good. But like yes, to answer your question you like posed to me with
Yeah.
regards to saying and doing, like with regards to saying is what we say, like we say to ourselves, but we like basically say to everyone else, like where
Mhm.
we puff our chests up like a little bit and go, yes, this is what I want to do. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to make this, that. And in some respects, you're making a list of everything you are not going to do. Like,
Mhm.
it's just, you're just like, okay. So you got to put that to the side. Doing, taking action. Now, more times than not, when you do take action, it's like, okay, sometimes you have no clue about what you're meant to be doing in the moment. You have
Mhm.
no clue where it possibly will lead. Because look, when you had your like epiphanal moment, which went, okay, yeah, forget perfection. Let's just do the podcast. Did you know how, like, okay, you had someone on the internet record, is this meant to work properly? Am I doing this properly? Is the conversation meant to flow a certain way? What are we going to talk about? All of a
Mhm.
sudden, it's like going, oh, wait, I've got all of these things and I wanted to say, and all of a sudden, everything's gone. And you find yourself like going, yeah, and asking some questions which you like going, are you frigging kidding me? And you some like all of a sudden you work out a conversation when you really need to happen where it
Mhm.
has to be meaningful and like, yeah, where it has to sort of go somewhere, is not as easy as you think it is, because we have BS conversations on a daily basis, where you
Yeah.
just talk about this, that, the other. And you like, oh, right. If you sat down and went, okay, how many meaningful conversations did you have today? If you
Yeah.
can like go count more than five, you're doing well. You're doing very well. But more times than not, it's just like little conversations about here, this, that, and just like passing freaking time. Like,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
look, the actions have so much power when you just shut up and just get down to it over the words, which, if you listen to any politician, they're great with words. But as for action, not so
Oh yeah.
much.
I know what you mean. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah.
yeah. Like, put it this way, I'm one of my like coming to the end, but I have to ask now. Look, with all what you're doing, where which sort of direction do you want this journey of Prince of the North to really sort of go? Like, if I went, hey, where would you like to be in in about 3 years' time, maybe 5 years' time?
In about with the on the podcast journey alone. Uh, well, yeah, I think on the podcast journey alone, I'd like myself to be give more time to it, interview and sit down with more people, produce more content, potentially produce content in different languages, to help other people who may not like necessarily want to listen to the podcast in English. And then also as well, just continuous like hope like build on the reputation, get like could like get interview people from anywhere and everywhere who have something inspirational to add and something inspirational to contribute. I want to continue doing that, and I want to do it on a more consistent basis. And I want to, like I said, branch it out into other languages, so at least expand the listener base as well. And then in terms of where, I don't know if I can answer the question for myself personally, like in the next 3 years, what I want to be able to do. I want to be able to speak German, Portuguese, and Spanish fluently. Um, Probably a bit broken, but all of us we speak English that's a bit broken anyways. So I think in other languages it's going to be acceptable. But anyone who's listening who actually speaks any of those languages, please leave a comment. Let me know and let myself know so that I know going forward. I want to be able to maybe work with charities a lot more in the future, volunteer a lot more, do a lot more on the coaching side, use my qualifications a lot more, like invest in, let's say for me, but one of my passions has always been aerospace and planes and flying the actual plane. So I've got about 24 hours of that, like, so at least doing a bit more of that, um, attending seminars in that space, potentially even working for an organization that's working to develop the next best, aerospace innovation that could change or improve aerospace industry going forward, or potentially start that myself. Well, I think 3 years is a bit too soon for that, but like progressively, that's my kind of thinking, that I want to be able to um, contribute in all of these areas. But for now, like what I'm doing is I'm building myself up towards achieving those things. And I constantly think about them in my head, because I believe in manifestation. So if I think about it a lot more and I'm working towards it, I'm gonna I'm gonna do my best to make sure that it happens. It may not happen the way I want it to happen, but
Mm-hmm.
as long as I cross the finishing line, I may not be like Usain Bolt, but as long as I cross the finishing line, starting a new race, but like getting those things and ticking things off, that's essentially what I want to do in the next 3 years. I'd say 3 years and beyond.
Hey, excellent, excellent, excellent. Last question.
Sure.
What was the last thing what brought you gratitude?
Um, spending time with my mom. I think being back in Zim, obviously, like I've mentioned before, the situation that happened with my family. Um, Actually spending time with my mom, speaking with her, helping her around. Um, it's made me grateful for the fact that I was blessed enough to have loving parents who invested in myself and my siblings. Um, to have somebody that that supports me no matter what. Um, because all of that, those kind of feelings, and that kind of support, and that social support system, not everyone is able to have that. Some people have to create it for themselves, and then from that generation onwards, at least they can start something. But the fact that I was able to have the input of my mom, the input of my dad on my life, it's something I'm really really grateful, because it it really sets apart how I look at the world, how I look at challenges, how I approach things as well. Because um, whenever I talk to people, a lot of people are always saying, "Oh, I can do this, but I can't do that," and like I always ask myself, like, if you're saying you can't, have you ever tried before you ever say you can't do something? Like, and some people get defensive. Some people say, no, honestly, I've never tried. So that's what I'm grateful for, you know.
Wow. Excellent, excellent. Sir, I have to say thank you for coming on today. You have been brilliant. You've been superb, to say the least. And
Thank you.
yeah, can you tell the lovely people how they can find you? How can they find the Prince of the North?
Right. So I have a website. It's www.potnofficial.com. On there, you can find the podcast, so the YouTube channel. I'm hoping to do some blogs and vlogs soon. So I think that whole essence about, like, when I was talking about demonstrating what I've learned, like becoming a practitioner, I think I'll do that in like vlogs. I've had that in mind. On Instagram, you can find me at p.o.t.n with full stops in between, or you can type in, you can find my brand. It's POTN official brand, Prince of the North POTN podcast on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter at POTN_1. I'm also on Snapchat at POTN_1 as well. And also be sure to kind of running out of the things to say, but like I'm hoping to obviously start the Twitch channel soon, which would be it's called Potent Official Channel, Potent Official Brand. I'm hoping obviously just to go on there, engage with the community, like create entertaining content, or either through gaming or through conversations, and try and provide some positive um add like some positive content to people out there, to show them that we're all going through tough times, but like it's about being positive and taking that step, or taking ownership for wanting to create your own happiness, but also create some happiness for others as well.
Perfect. Perfect. What I'll do, I'll put all of the information into the show notes, into the description, so people can find you. And yes, follow the Prince of the North. Brilliant. Yes. And I'd like to say thank you to you, my friends, my life warriors who have stuck with us up until this point. You are much appreciated, joyful. Yes, all of those things. But let me just say, stay well, stay safe, be awesome, be excellent, be fantastic. Be all the positive bees you can be in this world, and then some. Thank you very much, guys. Stay well. Peace.
Bye bye, everyone. Take care.
Yeah. And we are